We're usually talking about the stupid things Dara Khosrowshahi sells on this channel, but today we have to go after some really stupid comments made by Apple CEO Tim Cook. Comments that are so offensive, in my opinion, that it demands his immediate resignation from the company.
Xbox, Twitter, Uber,
Postmates,
Netflix, MoviePass,
Google,
eBay,
DoorDash,
Apple, Amazon, Airbnb,
The Apptrepreneur. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm glad you're around. Please, if you like this video, do me a favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that bell notification for notifications of when we upload new videos. We upload videos on a near daily basis. However, it is nice to be notified of them. We talk about gig economy, e-commerce, Uber, Apple, Netflix, Disney Plus, everything. We even talk a little bit about Baby Yoda once in a while. So, yes, we actually did talk about that a couple days ago. It was on Saturday, so nobody saw it, but whatever. So anyway, today we are talking about Apple. Now, I have expressed concerns about Apple in many ways before. I'm not even that big of an Apple fan, to be honest. You know what I have of an Apple product? This thing. This is the only thing about Apple that I own. I own an iPod Classic, and as long as that thing works, I will probably go to the grave with it. But these things are not known for working forever, so, that probably won't happen. But anyway, I don't have a Mac, don't have an iPad, don't have anything. My wife loves Apple, and one of my groomsmen is a huge Apple fanboy, has been for years, and I talked to him before we made this video, because when we talked about the story I talked about today, he wanted to add some clarification, which I will talk about in a moment. However, first, I want to talk about my sponsors real quick. And today's video is sponsored by gigworker.com. And gigworker.com is actually specializing right now in driver surveys for Uber drivers. Their surveys go to many media outlets like Vox and Vice and some of the television news networks, sharing how drivers feel about driving for Uber in the current year. And they need your help. So what they want you to do is there's a link below. And in that link, there is like a 5 to 6 minute survey. Take that survey and you will get $5 in cash. Well, not cash. It's actually digital bits from PayPal. But at the end of the week, you will get paid $5 from PayPal. All you need to do is take the survey, provide a screenshot of last week's Uber ride, and give them a valid PayPal email address, and you will get paid $5 for 5 minutes. It's very easy, and I highly recommend you do it. And our story is going to start with this picture of Tim Cook looking very contemplative, let's say. He's sitting there, he's thinking, He's a man who likes to think. He's always playing 5 to 10 steps ahead of the competition. He is a good CEO. I don't want to say he's a bad CEO if you just want the company to grow. He has helped keep Apple very stabilized. Like, many people were worried about Apple after Steve Jobs died, and Tim Cook did keep the ship going. And Apple continues to sell more phones than ever before. And the funny thing is they continue to sell more product without actually innovating. Yeah, there's a new product here and there, like the Apple Card and, the Apple Watch, I guess. But for the most part, the iPhones and everything, they've more or less stayed the same. Well, he has said some things I have disagreed with before. Like, he has spoken very openly about wanting to control the Apple marketplace, which I have big problems with. One of the reasons I like PCs is because I can do things on PCs that Apple does not want me to do. Not the least of which is upgrading my own computer to make it better than the way the manufacturer made it, but whatever. And, when he was making Apple TV, he wanted everything to be G or PG rated. He kind of backtracked a little bit on that, but, he just says some stuff that is really stupid. And what my friend has pointed out is that Tim Cook is an idealist. Like, he kind of pictures like, hey, in an ideal world, this would be a good thing, and we could have this, and everyone would be happy. And yeah, in a perfect world, you would be great. But that doesn't mean you say stupid crap like this. Where's the headline? Apple CEO Tim Cook says monopolies aren't bad if they aren't abused. Lost for words right there. Apple CEO Tim Cook has defended the existence of monopolies in business while also denying that Apple has a monopoly in any sector. That's the context of this, by the way. He was asked if Apple is a monopoly, and he came up with an answer for them. In an interview with Nikkei Asian Review in Tokyo on Wednesday, during which Cook discussed a range of topics, including Apple's treatment of competitors. He said a monopoly by itself isn't bad if it's not abused. The question for those companies is, do they abuse it, he said. And that is for regulators to decide, not for me to decide. Yeah. Almost at a loss for words. Cook insisted that Apple was not a monopoly, a line he has maintained for the duration of his tenure, despite Apple having faced multiple complaints of anti-competitive behavior from app providers that compete with its service. One such accusation came from the music streaming service Spotify, which filed a legal complaint with the European Commission in March. Spotify was unhappy with the 30% fee that Apple charges in App Store subscriptions, arguing that as Apple makes it difficult for services that try to avoid that fee, Spotify would have to raise its prices to account for the levy. So what does this mean from Spotify? Well, here's what it means from Spotify. Spotify's subscription service, and Spotify sucks, by the way. I do have that Spotify list, but I don't pay their subscription service. I pay for Google Play. For $10 a month, you can stream music. Apple Music, by the way, also has a service. Apple Music. It's $10 a month, last I checked. But here's the thing. Spotify has to pay a 30% fee for the app being on the Apple Store. Apple does not, because it's their own product. Which means Apple is basically able to undercut Spotify, because Spotify has to either take that 30% hit off at $10 and lose money, or they have to raise their product to $12.99 to compensate for the fee, at which case their service is more expensive than Apple, and people won't want to use Spotify when they can use Apple. You see what the problem is. So yes, Apple, in my opinion, is doing anti-competitive practices. And I agree with him. So here's the thing. Cook keeps denying that, you're not our product. It's very clear in mind. We don't believe in trafficking your data. I don't care. The bottom line is Apple is a monopoly. They are absolutely a monopoly. So let's look at this quote. So the context of the quote was that he was pretty much asked if he was a monopoly, if Apple was a monopoly. And he, of course, denies it. But because he knows that Apple's been classified as a monopoly over and over again, and because he knows that's the perception out there, he said, but monopolies by and of themselves are not bad. Monopolies can be good if the companies are actually, responsible with them. Well, no, Tim Cook. You're not. You're not. Monopolies are not good, no matter how you slice it. They are anti-competitive, and they are unfair, not only for consumers, but for companies. Like, I have never known a situation where there has been a monopoly and everything has been hunky-dory. Like, here's the thing. When Netflix had a monopoly on streaming, before, Disney Plus and Hulu and stuff started coming up, Netflix started raising the prices all the time on their customers. Not only that, they would squeeze the content provider, saying, hey, we're the only place you can sell this stuff to if you want to stream it, so give us it at this much. When Amazon, who sells over 50% of the books out in America, get into a hissy fit with a book publisher, they will unlist their books from the website. Now, that's a moral conundrum because as a store, Amazon has a right to sell and not sell whatever they want. But here's the thing. On a moral ground, they are simply not selling it because they want the product cheaper, and they are using that power, the fact that they can sell more than 50% of the books, that they can squeeze the publishers. When Disney has a monopoly on the market, and they do, they own 40% of the market. They're like, look, 8 of the 10 top grossing films of the year are Disney films. And by the way, one of them, Spider-Man Far From Home, is a Sony co-production with Disney. Martin Scorsese had every right to make the comments he made. It's scary. And by the way, what do we talk about all the time on this channel? Uber. And Uber is a monopoly. Or more specifically, Uber is a duopoly. And what is a duopoly? I'm glad you asked, if those of you who are not aware. A monopoly is when one company has market control over an entire product. Now, a duopoly is when it's two companies. Now, two companies would suggest competition, but here's when it becomes a duopoly. Because when Uber and Lyft started, they were both trying to reach number one, and so they did things to undermine the competitor. But then at one point, they seemed to realize, why are we fighting with one another? We can just basically copy one another. And then we're the same service, and people will go to one or the other, whatever one they kind of feel like doing, depending which one isn't surging. So you have a duopoly. There are two companies, but they are essentially acting like a monopoly. They don't compete with each other, and there's no one to compete with them. And if you are a driver, you see how bad that is. If you're a customer, by the way, you don't see how bad that is, but it is bad with you. Hence the upfront pricing. With a duopoly, you have noticed your prices go up. However, if you talk to your driver, the driver is not getting paid any more money. And yeah, Amazon does so many bad things. When Microsoft was number one king of the world in computers, and they were giving away like the Internet Explorer, like when Microsoft got caught on two fronts with antitrust. First of all, people used to charge for browsers. Anyone remember Netscape? Netscape was a browser you paid for. But Microsoft started releasing computers and Windows with Internet Explorer for free, therefore undermining the reason to buy a browser. And not only that, with their browser in it, it would make certain sites that Microsoft was huge competitors with not work properly. They were caught in anti-competitive, they were caught doing anti-competitive stuff. Monopolies don't work, and Apple is clearly one of them. Right now, Apple has the number one phone in the world, which connects with the Apple TV, which connects with the Apple Watch, which connects with the Mac. And by the way, if anything you want to put on there, it's a 30% commission fee, and if it's successful, you can bet Apple will have their own product, which means it will steer you towards the Apple product, because the Apple product will either cost the same or it will be cheaper, and of course it will sync with everything. They might not show your data, like they don't transfer data, but they are storing your data, which means one day Apple could decide, you know what, it's way too lucrative, let's sell it. What Tim Cook said is dangerous and scary. I think by these comments, he's kind of, by the way, admitted in a roundabout way that Apple is a monopoly. He's trying to, as they say, soften the blow. So whenever they're actually officially labeled a monopoly, he's putting the brick pieces there like, well, look, monopolies aren't bad if the company is responsible. He's setting up that storyline because when Apple is eventually called a monopoly, he can point out, well, look, maybe you do classify as a monopoly, but look at the good things we're doing. We're not selling your data. We're not telling other companies that they can't be on our platform unless you're, PORN, then you can't be on at all. So I think this man needs to be fired. I think he needs to be fired. He is dangerous and he is scary. Like, the last time I was super upset with this guy was when he was accepting an award and he said it was Apple's job to police thought. That was what his words were, like saying, hey, there are dangerous things out there and dangerous opinions. And as Apple, as a safe company, we are the ones who must police you. We must protect our users from bad thoughts out there, aka Republicans. He doesn't like conservatives, so as Apple, like, hey, we think this is the agenda you need to go on. No, Tim Cook, whether I agree with everything Donald Trump says or not, you don't have the right to censor him or any of his voters' opinions on the matter unless they are calling for outright violence. But Apple feels like they should do that. And now he is in a roundabout way admitting that they are a monopoly. But he's saying, hey, monopolies aren't bad if they're responsible. There has never been such a thing as a responsible monopoly. Never existed. That is about as likely as the Tooth Fairy existing and Santa Claus. It does not exist. It kind of almost reminds me of that joke in the Chasing Amy movie where Jason Lee goes up to Ben Affleck and he said, okay, here's the thing. We have a man-loving lesbian, the Easter Bunny, and I think a birthday cake. Which one do you choose? And Ben Affleck's like, the birthday cake. He's like, why? He's like, I don't know. No, and it's like, because the other two don't exist. Substitute the man-loving lesbian for a monopoly, a monopolistic company that has responsibility. There you go. So anyway, I think this man's dangerous. I don't like him at all, and will, once again, not buy any more Apple products, although my wife loves them, so I guess they will keep being bought for her sake. It's tough being married sometimes to someone who does not understand this. On the other hand, she is such a wonderful person, so nice, so innocent. I am very blessed to have her. And I'm glad to be sharing this Christmas with her. In fact, you know what? Just thinking about her is making me feel better already. So hey, let's end while we're on like a positive note. What about you guys? Do you agree with this? Do you disagree? What kind of Apple products do you like? Do you like them? If not, why not? And if you did but you don't, like, just whatever. Let's end on a friendly note. I'd like to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, but I keep getting hiccups at the end of these videos. I don't know why. But even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly, and you get access to my private Discord server. And if gas prices get a little low, check out the Get Upside app below. It's totally free, but you get cash back on every gas purchase. If you want more content from me, check out Kevin T. Rodriguez, the Apptrepreneur vlogs, and Autograph Found. And finally, if you want to talk to me and other fellow Apple likers, dislikers, whatever, check us out the Apptrepreneur Hangouts on Facebook. And as always, blame responsibly. Have a good one.